Good morning, it's Sunday and welcome to Sabah's Way of Life. Today's Sunday and generally for me Sunday I consider a real rest day, but when I say rest day, when one uses that word, it's easy to think that it means just do nothing. Actually, if we think of it in a very different way, it's a day of contemplation. When I say contemplation, okay, let me put this in a way that actually makes sense and doesn't sound like everything else that you hear. And the best way to do that is to explain what I use a rest day for. It doesn't have to be a Sunday. It just works for me to be a Sunday. I don't know why. I'm drawn to do this on a Sunday. Of course, it's not a work day for many people who go out to offices Monday to Friday. But these days, Saturday and Sunday is all merged into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it's all the same, all the shops are open and so on. As I sit here, I can see behind me, let me just look. Oh, it's gone now, but there was a little kitten there. I don't know if you saw it at the beginning of the video. And I look up in the tree and there's a tree, my next door neighbour's tree, and there's two birds, large birds. One is a dove, just sitting there quietly and as if they're listening and contemplating themselves. I always say to you that, let me see if I can show you. I don't know, because they're blended in. I don't know if you can see them. Look carefully, because I can't even see them in the video, but when I turn if you explore afterwards closely, you will see them. And they are also contemplating. I've often mentioned that metaphor and symbolism, those two are the true language of the universe and the universal mind. Mysticism, which is, you could say, universal law, esotericism, metaphor and symbolism. So over here, what I'm talking about is when we talk about a Sunday, it is probably the most important and powerful day of the week. I'm using Sunday because I use that as the day that I do this. I feel that you could do this on any other day, but be drawn to a common sense day. And it's a day where I step back. Again, I speak in metaphors, so read in between the lines, where I step back and consider the week that has just gone, let the thoughts sort of come in. Often I have a notebook handy. I've already done this morning, and I also consider the following week. And what happens is, when you wake up early, and I'm assuming now that those of you who've been watching this channel for some time understand the absolute importance of waking up with the sun and sleeping at dusk. Obviously, that's a metaphor too. So living in harmony with nature's own rhythms, which is often known as a circadian rhythm. Of course, it's not possible in every country. But what happens is the mind, when you start to rest and recuperate and sit in silence, not only does it create, but it also helps you prioritize what is important for the following week in terms of thoughts that come into your mind, so that you make the right choices. And when you sit in the morning, today we are lucky enough to have the most beautiful September morning here in the UK. We've got 2 weeks of this weather. Don't waste it. It's powerful. You're more likely to make the right choices because they will be emanating from sourcing from the right frequency. the right bandwidth. You're on the right bandwidth because you're communing with yourself in silence. And if you're lucky enough to have a garden, and if you've got a garden and you haven't created something beautiful, do it, because you are creating a slice of heaven on earth. Again, that's a metaphor and a symbolism here I'm talking about. It's very powerful. And in those places, things that seem very difficult in life or challenges, suddenly they're just something that you need to deal with without your mind being overtaken with anxiety or fear of any sort. That's happened, I've got to deal with it. I have to give you, there's a plane going across, it's a shame, but I have to give you an example that, even yesterday, a few things were said by a close member of my family, and I immediately, because we get emotional about our own, whether it's our children or our parents, we get emotional when they say something that doesn't fit our, it's very hard to not step back into that old dense mindset. It's just something that was said, and then of course the recognition that actually sleep on it and think, actually, it's not as serious as I thought it was. Why did my mind make it so serious? That's okay. And also recognize that our architecture, if we're vibrating at the right frequency, has the ability, through our connection to our heart and the coherence between the mind and the heart, that's the key that can change things for the better without having to say anything. It's just your frequency is so powerful, and it's emanating from a place of love within, that it has the power to move choices, move matters, create form in beautiful ways. So on this Sunday, when I say rest, it doesn't mean sit and do nothing. I'll be doing a lot of things in the garden. I'm hoping to spend the whole day alone and in silence, because when we've had a busy week, it's important to have some time, even if it's an hour or 10 minutes. You've got children, it's not possible, but just that time, and write down what the week is going to look like and be, and then prioritize and say, at that time, that's what I'll deal with, and I'll do what I can in that time, and that's it. When you leave things because a state of fear compels you to stay away and procrastinate, procrastination is a state of mind, remember, then they build. So don't do that. It's very important. I use that word all the time. It's very important, but it is. So I wanted to just share that. I'm not always good at articulating the message in the way that I want it to be received, but it's not going to be received through just my words. It's going to be felt when you actually start taking action and doing. The other thing I wanted to talk about, which is really random, is my hair, because I don't normally talk about this, but on a personal level, I've got to a stage in life where I really think about everything that I'm inviting into my body, because I understand my body is an architecture. I'm not my body. We are not our body. We know that. This is an architecture given to us inside which we are living, but we're not living in here. This is just how it's manifesting on this earthly realm, right? Understand this. We are beyond our body, but the point is, it's an important part of us. So what we feed it has a direct impact on the quality of our thoughts, because we've been given it, and then our connection to who we really are. So it stands to reason that what we do with our body is important, how we keep it strong. So today I was just talking about hair, and I used to use a non-ammonia dye, but it still had chemicals in, and I made a choice just about 2 months ago that I'm no longer going to do this. I've got greys coming out. Had I known many years ago about the magic of certain oils, and probably did know, but I didn't take action, you've got mustard seed oil and certain oils that people use, that have used in, I can only speak for India, but I'm sure in other places, where the hair never went grey at all. So it didn't they didn't age. Nature has a magic way of keeping us youthful. I don't mean looking youthful, I mean keeping our cellular composition on a frequency that is youthful, right? Again, a metaphor. So I have started to, I did some research some time ago on, and spoke to my mother about what did they use in their hair when they were young to keep it in good order, not to dye, but just to keep it in good order. And there was the Indian gooseberry known as amla, the amla fruit. Obviously there's henna, which is deeply nourishing for the hair, but although it colours it, and I've forgotten now, there were there's several other, indigo, which is a dark kind of herb that gives it the darkness of the hair. So there's amla, there's neem again, very, very nourishing for the hair, thickens the hair. So I went on to the internet to look at certain companies, private companies that sell. I always try to go to private websites as opposed to Google, because they push certain products. So I look at that. I look at eBay and, well, I don't use Google's search engine, but sometimes it's there. But eBay and Amazon. But then I also investigate other websites, because a lot of hands are forced to use Amazon these days. So I look at I make a call, I look at other websites, and I've researched different types of these beautiful ground powders that come directly from India, organic. I try to make it as organic as possible so that they haven't been tampered with. And I order them. And I've done this, and I've ordered a whole batch of them. And I've used them on my hair and my mother's hair. And I'm already feeling my hair feels better. But the thing is, it's patience, time and patience. When you're using natural products on your hair, you make this paste and you put it onto the hair, you leave it on all day. You need the heat to help the colour absorb, and the nutrients and the nourishment absorb into your hair and into your scalp. But when you wash it off, I'm talking about the colour side now, of course you've got the nourishment there already, but when you wash it off, it takes time, because the colour needs the sun to oxidize and give it a deeper colour. So you need to therefore use it a little bit more regularly. And that takes time, and it's a beautiful kind of gold. You can see it in the hair, it's a beautiful kind of gold. There's some greys, the greys are going to be there, but if you use that nourishing treatment and make your own, do your research, enjoy doing that. What you're actually doing is learning to understand traditional methods of healing, of living while you're doing this. And when you're not attached to your identity, which I'm not at all anymore, well, I'm purifying it as much as I can, these things won't matter to you. What others think, or the image that you have won't matter. You won't be attached to it. It might matter, but you won't be attached to it. To get to that place is an extremely, extremely powerful place to live from. That is the greatest power. Right, the other thing, just random thoughts coming into my mind, is eyes. The eyes tell you so much about an individual, and the whole story of life can be inside the eyes if you spend the time looking and considering someone else's eyes. Look deep within. You can see the love. You can see if their heart is blocked. These days, it's very easy when you've got social media and people are stressed and they're just looking, literally eyeballing the screen. Their eyes become these balls. You know, the pupils are dilated. They're sticking out, and they become these balls, and they look all like automatons, like digitalized beings. They don't just look like, they've become that. That is deeply sad. But even that, if you see somebody you love and they've got that look about them, your love from within and your frequency, if you're living an alignment, you don't understand how important this is, because you have the power to heal others and yourself. When you're healing others, you're also healing yourself. Healing, I'm speaking metaphorically, that energy can almost dissipate whatever that force is that's causing that look. Again, I'm speaking in symbolism and metaphor, and it can unlock just a little piece of love in their heart and melt. It's so powerful. Love is so powerful. It can unlock something so that that feeling comes back, even if they're not in front of you. Being in front of you makes you aware. If you're living from that frequency, you do not realize, you must recognize. I'm looking at a bee on the honeysuckle. Let me see if I can show you this very quickly. Okay. There's the honeysuckle. The sun comes from the east and it's on the honeysuckle, and there was a bee. Just take a moment to appreciate this beauty. How beautiful just that image is in the back garden. So what I was saying is that you have a gift if you have the ability to move others through the love within you. So that's why I'm always saying you are the change. You make the change in yourself, and it can move others in ways you will never know, so that they change too and connect to their own source connection. It's very hard to explain, but when you understand I'm speaking from metaphor and symbolism, you can make of it what you wish and it will be correct. That's the key. That you can make of it what you wish. There's no black and white answer. It's what you feel as I speak to you. Recognize that. There's no right or wrong. Does she mean that? Does she mean that? What is she talking about? It means whatever you're feeling within, it starts a motion, and then act upon it. Each of us has a different story, different life. We are all one, but we are all different, and we are all unique. Right, let me just now move on to a little bit in the garden before I move on with the day. So, speaking to you from the back of the garden, the greenhouse is behind me, and down here are all these empty pots. And with these empty pots, I was going to turn them over into a couple of bigger pots there, and I've decided no, I'm just going to plant sow fenugreek in there over the winter, so they have a good nitrogen fix ready for spring. That's what I'm going to do, right? Over here, if you recall, I had dug this up, and I've dug it up, not turned it over, just gently dug it up, and I have sown giant spinach seeds. This is only a few days ago. Now you can see green stems are coming out. These are actually, I tried to get rid of them. Can you see? These are actually the seeds that I used to feed the hens. They're coming up, and I'm going to lift them up as they come out, because they are not spinach growing. I know what they are. So I'll lift these up. I know where I've planted the spinach, sown the spinach, because I've done it in a zigzag shape. I've got the markers there, one there, and then I know one's going to be there, 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 and then there. So they're big, giant spinach plants, so they'll be quite big. So I know what is a spinach leaf coming out and what isn't. That's experience, right? Now, the other thing I wanted to show you, I haven't sown the mustard greens and garlic and all this. I'm going to do that in the greenhouse, and I'll do that later today. See, we're just so busy. But every spare pot, I've got these, I brought in, the corn was growing in there, corn on the cob. I should have done a video on that. They came out really beautiful, and I've still got a couple outside growing. But any spare pot I've got, I'm just going to put mustard mustard in it, so it's green and it's and it's nourishing. Okay, then just want to show you these. Look at all these. I've harvested all the tomatoes except some out in the front, and there's several things you can do with this. You see, what I can do is, as I said, I'm going to make a tomato pickle, preserved tomatoes, green tomatoes, but I can't do that with all of them. I'm just going to make one jar, and the others I'm just going to leave on the side, and they'll eventually go red and ripe, and then I'll use them in cooking. Mum also told me yesterday, she said they used to use green tomatoes in cooking as well. So, you know, I'm going to look it up and see what I can find on the net that's helpful. These are the beef tomatoes I grew. I only got 5 or 6 of them. They're wonderful. There, look, they're lovely. But the best tomatoes I've grown this year are these green, yellow tomatoes, which I've put a little Instagram picture up of what they look like inside when I made a caprese salad with mozzarella and olive oil. They're absolutely divine and delicious. The other thing I've done, which I'll share with you here, it's a bit dark. Let me just switch the light on, otherwise you can't see. Here, I've grown the fenugreek. You remember I grew fenugreek in that central reservation. Well, it grew, and I cut all the stems, not from the roots. I left the roots in, but I cut the stems, and now they're drying, and I'm going to have a little jar of dried methi fenugreek, homegrown. It's so easy to do. So get your fenugreek seeds from the Indian shop and plant them. Just sow them into bare patches. We've got 2 weeks of sun and they germinate within days. So do that now. So that is going to go out in the sun. It's been on the windowsill, but I want it to dry as much as I can, and it will dry eventually. I want to do it naturally, so I'll put it out in whatever sun we have today and let it dry. All right, it's a real messy kitchen, but it doesn't matter. Still more tomatoes here, just tomatoes everywhere. It's good. And there's a cucumber, which I grew as well. I want to keep the seed of that. I'm not sure how to do that. And this is how fenugreek looks. Hold on. These are boxes, empty boxes people gave to me for eggs. I don't have the hens anymore. So over here is what fenugreek seeds look like, just so that you get an idea. Look, just go to your ethnic shop. You'll even get them in Tesco's, I'm sure, but they'll be much cheaper. And drop them into the ground. All right, so that's today's video. I'll be doing cooking. No, I did quite a lot of cooking yesterday. The other thing is, when you get up early and you're going out for the day, you'll be surprised at how much you can get done in the morning. You know, from the time of 6 to 10, I left with my brother yesterday at 11 o'clock to go and watch my nephews racing. They race go-karts, and I woke up at 6, and from 6 to 10 I got so much done. I'm focused, I'm awake because I was asleep early. You can get the washing done, you can get things done in the garden, you can write down things that you need to do. Bang, bang, bang. You just focus, and you're quietly just doing things. Cooking, I prepared a wonderful kofta curry, meatball curry, which is now in my fridge, and for meatball and with eggs, it's called nargisi kofta. So a bit like Scotch eggs, but Scotch eggs were actually taken from India during the British rule of India during the Empire time. So it was called nargisi kofta, which is a very, very old tradition of cooking meat with the eggs inside. Those of you from North India, like myself, I've got Persian, Afghan roots as well in my ancestry, will understand that type of food and that type of cooking. Anyway, have a wonderful day. Please put comments down below if you want to ask any questions, and spend some time in your garden in silence today and contemplate and work out what you're going to do with the rest of your week from a place of no distraction. Cut out the distraction altogether. Take charge of your thinking, take charge of your mind. Enjoy your day.